Welcome everybody to another AndyForge video. This is the second of our Grim Reminders display openings that we'll be digging into today. No huge news other than the Roseville Vault tour fired. Those streams were pretty awesome. It was great to see. I can't wait to go out to the Baltimore one myself and hopefully have a blast out there. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and dig in. Pre-cut the deck on the side like usual. Haven't seen anything that's in it, but it is easier for me to open it this way. I believe this is, deck list. Which way are we? There it is. Fantastic. So, oh, come on now. There we go. And into our houses here. We've got Boundless for start. What is going on? Goodness, this deck does not want to cooperate. Okay. It's like stuck in there. There we go. Boundless, got a green Archon, Ecodon, and Unfathomable. Some decent houses. This is Boundless Z Dynonur? Dynonur? Interesting. I'll hold that up so everybody can get a closer look. Looks like a kind of robotic squid creature. Works perfectly for Unfathomable. The Boundless. Very interesting. Looks good. I know Boundless is really good in sealed for Grim Reminders. Unfathomable and Ecodon can be good depending on the cards you get. It'll be interesting to see what kind of combos, what kind of cards come out of this. But give me 1 second and we'll get to the card reveal. Alrighty, we're here now with the card reveal. Here's a closer look at that Archon. Well, to the side here, let's pull off our Archon card, our deck list. And then, of course, our rules card. Nothing fancy about it. And let's dig in. Okay, starting in Unfathomable here. Wakolia, I really like this creature. 3 power with After Reap. Keys cost +2 during your opponent's next turn. Some decent amber control. Not bad, especially since it doesn't rely on Haunted. 2 of those. 3 of those, okay. We are pretty much guaranteed to at least get it off unless, we play all 3 into a board wipe, but it is likely we'll be able to reap with at least one of these. Creaky Germinator, 5 power creature with play after reap. Put a card from your discard pile on the bottom of their, put a card from a player's discard pile on the bottom of their deck. So either cycle one of our cards, especially if we are near the bottom of our deck, or, take an opponent's card, put it on the bottom, maybe something that isn't very good that would prevent them from cycling other stuff, or something that they can kind of just pick up with the card we know is in hand. Then we've got the action Circle Speak. It's got an Amber Pip. Play, choose a creature. If it captures 2 amber for each haunted player. Not bad. Great in multiples. At best, it is basically a delayed steal 2, because you can pick an opponent's creature that would capture 2 from yourself and 2 from the opponent. Kind of pulling 2 from their supply and sending them to you. 2 of these, okay. Then we've got Arcane Transmitter. It's an artifact with an Amber Pip. Action, discard the top 4 cards of any player's deck, and then scrap, shuffle your discard pile into your deck. Not bad at all. A great way to pull someone out of Haunted, who we know benefits from it big time, but also a good way to just mill yourself down to Haunted if you've got all of your combo cards in hand. Thought Swim. This is an upgrade with an Amber Pip. This creature gains while your opponent is haunted. This creature cannot be dealt damage. Very good. The Arcane Transmitter is a great way to force our opponent to be haunted, but it is also the Creaky Germinator, rather, is a great way to force them to continue to be haunted. So instead of cycling, we can just pick cards at least once per turn that would go to the bottom of their deck. 2 of those. We've got Dredge. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, for the remainder of their turn, each friendly creature gains action. Return a card from your discard pile to the top of your deck. Great way to recur some cards. Oh, Bryozoark. Okay, interesting. So this is a 6 power creature when your opponent plays an action card. Instead of resolving its play effect, destroy the creature on your left flank. So Bryozoark typically wants to be on your right flank, but with Thought Swim, if we can keep our opponent haunted through Arcane Transmitter and Creaky Germinator maybe, then it would be great on the left flank, just with a Thought Swim on it, because every time they play an action, it would just try and destroy Bryozoark, which would not be able to be dealt damage or destroyed. So, very, very cool. And then we've got the Awful Atoll here. It is an artifact with an Amber Pip. While a player is haunted, their creatures get -2 power. If there are no creatures in play, destroy Awful Atoll. Okay, this could actually be really good with the Bryozoark combo as well, just because it keeps all of our unfathomable creatures in play. None of them are 2 power or lower. And it makes it harder for the opponent to play creatures, because we're keeping them in haunted. So, very, very interesting. We're going into Equidon here with Tutor Benrillo. 4 power creature with play, discard up to 3 cards. Your opponent draws a card, or scrap, each player draws a card. Not bad, some great efficiency. Siphon Up Tyrian, 6 power creature with while you are haunted. Siphon Up Tyrian gains taunt. Destroyed, if it is not your turn, gain 2. The destroyed effect is not reliant on taunt. We've got Rumor Sower, 4 power creature with After Reap. Your opponent discards the top card of their deck. Stun an enemy creature that shares a house with the discarded card. And we've got Hospitality here. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, choose an enemy creature and a friendly creature. Until the end of the turn, the friendly creature's power is equal to the enemy creature's power. Not a very good card. I don't like the way that it pans out. I feel like if it was the enemy creature's power is equal to that of the friendly creature's power, you could do some shenanigans with taking your low power creatures and making it harder for the opponent or make it easier to kill the opponent, but instead you can really only make your creatures bigger, which is very limited in usefulness. Then we've got Gymcoat Vendor, 6 power creature with action, steal 1, deal 1 damage to Gymcoat Vendor. Ooh, De-Escalation, it's a board wipe action with play. Destroy each creature, your opponent archives the top 3 cards of their deck. Them being to archive 3 is not great, but De-Escalation, as long as there's only 1 of them, is typically pretty good. It's just nice to have a board wipe. Belligerent Guard, 8 power creature that enters play ready and reads play, your opponent draws a card. Super, super good. A great way to deal with Bryozoark if your opponent doesn't have a Thought Swim on them, just because creature dodges around it. It also has just a whole lot of utility, this set. Pull Up Stakes, it's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, shuffle 2 friendly creatures into their owner's deck. Return 4 enemy creatures to their owner's hands. Phobivore, this creature gains while you are haunted. This creature cannot be used. It's an upgrade with an Amber Pip. Then we've got the Amber Road. It's an artifact with Omni. Put 1 trade counter on the Amber Road, then gain 1 Amber for each trade counter on it. Give control of the Amber Road to your opponent. It's good if you can get control back, but there aren't a whole lot of ways to do that, and giving your opponent 2 Amber so that you can gain 1, possibly 3, and it's not great. Most of the time, if you use Amber Road, your opponent will just hold out until they really need 2 Amber to go into check, or they think they'll win the game, and then they'll do it and send it back to you at the end, and they'll just get way more benefit out of it than you will. Freelancer is an upgrade with an Amber Pip. At the start of each turn, the active player takes control of this creature. This creature may be used as if it belonged to the active house. Interesting, very good. I'm not sure exactly what I would want to attach that to, at least for my deck. Most of the time it's better to attach it to the opponent's, but if we had like a trawler, or if there's another creature that comes up that can capture a lot of Amber, it would be great to be able to kind of pass it around in a weird way. Then we have the Envoy of Equire, 5 power creature with After Reap. Swap Envoy of Equire with one of its neighbors. Also swap all Amber, damage, counters, and upgrades on this creature. Very interesting. That could be really weird with Freelancer. Gives us a way to basically steal a creature though, because then we can start swindling. If we take Freelancer, put it on an enemy creature that we really like the passive effect of, that we want to hang on to, then when it's on our turn, we reap with Envoy of Equire. We could swap those 2 creatures, and then Envoy of Equire becomes the creature with Freelancer and all of the Amber damage and everything on it, and then it'll pass over to the opponent. Going into Brobnar now, we have Shock Herder, 3 power creature with Deploy and Play, ready and fight with a neighboring creature. Very good. Then we have the action Lash Out here. It's got an Amber Pip. Play, if you are haunted, deal 3 damage to a creature with 3 splash. Otherwise, deal 3 damage to a creature. Great targeted damage, 2 of those. Headhunter, 5 power creature with after fight gain 1. Always good to get some expected amber. Fiery Jark, one of the best board wipes this set. It's a 4 power creature with play. Destroy an enemy creature and a friendly creature. You may repeat this effect as many times as you like, as long as it is possible to repeat the entire effect. Very good. A better diametric charge, I believe, is what the... no, Bouncing Death Quirk. That's what it is. A better Bouncing Death Quirk. Then we've got Blunderbore here, 6 power creature with after fight. If you are haunted, your opponent loses 2, otherwise your opponent loses 1. Great to have a shock herder with this. Ooh, then we've got Berserker Slam. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, deal 4 damage to a flank creature. If this damage destroys that creature, its controller loses 1. 2 of those. Earthshaker, 7 power creature with play. Destroy each creature with power 3 or lower. Can be really good, depends. We have some lower power value creatures that we wouldn't want to see go. So we'll have to choose when we play that carefully. We've got Crim Torchtooth here, 7 power creature with splash attack 4, and after fight enrage each of Crim Torchtooth's neighbors. And then we have the Artifact Cannon. It's an reads action, deal 2 damage to a creature. Not bad. Seems pretty decent all around. The Bryozoark Double Thought Swim seems like it could be a pretty good lockout. We play that to the left. If we can keep, our Wacolias and our Creaky Germinator to the right, it would be easy to fight them off. And then if we play Dredge, we can keep looping Unfathomable cards to the top of our deck and then just play them again. Play Dredge every turn, play a bunch of Unfathomable cards every turn. Use Creaky Germinator to extend, how long our opponent stays haunted. Use Arcane Transmitter to force them into haunted if they're not already. There's a lot of utility there that's really interesting. So I think the big part of this is just making sure that with this deck we make it to that. We have the Unfathomable setup that we're looking for, especially with almost no archiving. If we had Geistoid, it would really bring this deck to another level, but it's just a matter of getting that Unfathomable board established and really taking advantage of it. So it'll be interesting to see if I can pull that off when I get to play some games with this. But give me 1 second, I will separate everything into piles and we'll be back with the deck breakdown. Okay, we're here now with the deck breakdown. Got everything separated into the usual piles. There is our Archon Cord in the corner, our Amber Control, Expected Amber, Artifact Control, Creature Control, and our Haunted pile, which is looking a little slim today. There is our SAS score, looking at 71, a -1 in the anti-synergy. As far as individual houses go, Brobnar was our highest at 28, then we had Equidon at 19 and Unfathomable at 24. Equidon kind of pulling us down, that's what I expected. Again, if we had Geistoids there, this deck would probably be a bit of a banger with how controlling the Unfathomable can be. As far as our anti-synergy goes, that is mostly from Earthshaker, just because it would destroy our Shock Herder and then all 3 of our Wacolia. There is also a little bit of anti-synergy coming from the fact that we have a incredibly slightly above average creature count for de-escalation. So typically because we have more creatures than the average deck, we will be punished a little bit for it. We also have cards that enjoy when we are haunted, so Circle Speak can get strange, but those last 2 are pretty small. It is mostly the Earthshaker. There is our extras and counts. We've got 15 bonus amber, which is pretty good. 3 away from my typical goal, so great to see that this deck can pump out amber just from the amber pips, but also we'll see the expected amber here in a little bit is obviously higher than 15. Our actions are at 10, which is below average. Creature count at 18, which is like 1 card above average. Artifacts at 4, which is above average. Upgrades at 4, which is a good bit above average. And then no archives, no key cheats, no scaling amber control, and 4 board wipes in Earthshaker, 2 Fiery Jarks, and de-escalation. As far as our haunted score goes, there it is. There is only 1 real card that can guide us being haunted, but it is a very good one, Arcane Transmitter. It can make us haunted by discarding the top 4, which is a little under half of what you need to be haunted, so that's pretty good. As far as the individual cards go, our 4 artifacts artifacts make us less likely to be haunted, since we have a slightly above average number of artifacts. And then we have 10 actions, which is good. You would like to see more, but actions lead to you being more haunted since they don't exist in any sort of game state outside of resolving their effect and entering your discard pile. Let's clear that away. There is our Amber and Control section. We've got an 8.4 in Amber Control, 20 in Expected Amber, 0 Artifact Control, as you can see from our empty pile, and 26 Creature Control. Pretty high. Like to see the Creature Control that way. Let's dig into the individual cards here. Starting with our Amber Control section. We've got 2 Berserker Slams. These could also have been in Creature Control, but most of the time you are trying to get them to lose that Amber, especially with how limited you are in Amber Control and Grim Reminders, so I felt they were better fit here. Gemcoat Vendor for the possible steal one. Wicolia for the key cost increases. Circle Speak for the possible steal 2. Get 2 Amber from your opponent's pool onto one of their own creatures. And then Blunderbore for the fight. Your opponent either loses 1 or 2. Great with Shock Herder. Really, really like this guy. 6 power is also very, very good, especially for him. Set those cards off to the side. Oh, goodness. Elbowing my desk. Okay, getting into the Expected Amber. A lot of it is Amber Pips, or you saw it in the form of the Circle Speaks just then. But non-Pips, non-Circle Speaks, we're looking at Belligerent Guard, which 50-50 on Creature Control and Expected Amber. I put it in Expected Amber just because there aren't a lot of cards in Expected Amber, but it really just depends on when you played in the game, whether or not you will be reaping or fighting off a creature with it. Headhunter for the Afterfight gain 1. Siphon up Tyrion for the destroyed effect, which will likely go off. And then Amber Road is here as our highest because it is a guaranteed 1 Amber. If we're barely, going to miss check and we think our opponent can't do anything about it if we do go into check, it is worth it. But it is a lot better in theory than it is in practice, at least in my own experience. Then no Artifact Control, which stinks, but it's okay. There's a lot of good Artifact Control in this set, which you would like to see, but if you don't get it, so be it. So we're digging into our Creature Controls here, starting with Rumor Sower, which is they discard, stun enemy creatures that share a house with the card that they discard, which is pretty good. Stun is nice, you can stall up the board, and then they're discarding a top card of their deck, which is so-so. It gets them closer to Haunted, but in this deck could be good, since we're trying to get them Haunted for our Thought Swim. Then Freelancer is in here, just because it bounces creatures around. Phobivore, obviously the opponent can't use the creature while they are haunted. And then we have Cannon, which is just a straight deal 2 damage. Shock Herder for ready and fight effects. Lash for 3 damage with 3 splash if I'm haunted. Without haunted, just 3. Awful Atoll just makes any player that is haunted, their creatures get -2, which again in this deck is not bad. I honestly don't know that we have any creatures under 2 power. Let's see. I don't think so. Wicolia is 3. That's higher, that's higher, that's higher, that's higher, that's higher. Yeah, because, let's see, Shock Herder is 3, right? Yep, so it doesn't even kill Shock Herder. So Awful Atoll is actually perfect for us. It'll never immediately kill a creature unless they're already damaged. Crim Torchtooth for the crazy splash attack and high power. Pull up Stakes for board control, returning 2 friendly creatures to our hand, which could be good, especially for like Shock Herder, or if we really want to protect Blunderbore, or, to take advantage of Belligerent Guard again. If we play Belligerent Guard, Reap, then pull up Stakes. Earthshaker for destroying creatures with 3 power or lower. Fiery Jark with a Bouncing Deathquark-esque kill. And De-escalation for a board wipe that has our opponent archiving 3 cards. At the very least, those 3 cards are at random from the top of their deck. So, it's not likely to be a super efficient way unless they've been manipulating it. Then we're just digging into our Haunted here. It is just the Arcane Transmitter for that discard 4 that I mentioned. It also has the scrap effect of shuffling a discard pile into the deck, which could pull away from a Haunted score for our opponent or something. But honestly, because it has an Amber Pip and because the action can be so versatile, I think you just, for the most part, are always going to play Arcane Transmitter unless you have a really unique untamed pod that can play into you cycling your discard pile very well. Alrighty, then we'll get rid of that. And then our last section here is our speed and board. Our speed, we're looking at a 0.8 that is just Tutor Bin Rillo. Makes sense. Board is at 67. It is high because of Belligerent Guard, Chrome Torch Tooth, Gymcoat Vendor, and a couple other 6-power creatures, but De-Escalation, Fiery Jark brought that down a bit. Recursion, we're looking at Pull-Up Stakes, Dredge, Kariki Germinator, and Arcane Transmitter, all cards that cycle discard pile, except for Pull-Up Stakes, which interacts with board. Creature Protection, we're looking at Thought Swim, Bryozoark in itself, and Siphon Up Tyrion, all very good. Then we've got Bryozoark in Disruption with Pull-Up Stakes and Kariki Germinator. And then our other board effects is actually negative. We have Envoy Equire, which is positive, but then Freelancer, De-Escalation, Belligerent Guard, the Amber Road, and Tutor Bin Rillo all affect us negatively. I see how each of those individually can affect us negatively. How it is implied to be directly related to the board state, I'm unsure, but very interesting. Not sure I'll ever get the knack of other. I think it might just be a miscellaneous bin for things that affect your deck in a positive or negative way, and it just doesn't fit into the remaining spaces. Okay, clear that. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a good one. This is a super interesting deck. I think the Unfathomable can get out of hand if we can get a good Bryozoark Thought Swim with just consistently cycling Dredge, using Wacolia, making sure that our opponent hopefully stays within the Haunted status. I think they'll honestly be, if they are smart about it and they know the combo or understand it at least a little bit, will try and basically just start discarding cards like crazy. But at that point, maybe, you know, we dredge up some unfathomable creatures, we put them to the left, so even if they're playing actions, they, you know, are destroying those once they aren't haunted. Or I'm sure there's another way to kind of play around the fact that they know what you're doing with Bryozoark, but it could lead to, at the very least, a pretty crazy couple of turns with increasing their key cost to 12 with, you know, recurring cards with Dredge and recurring Dredge itself. I mean, you could get off a couple Circle Speaks theoretically, and our opponent, we are trying to lock into Haunted, so it would be perfect for our Circle Speak. So Boundless seems awesome, just have to try and get to it. If I give this a deck if I give this deck a try sometime soon, I might talk about it in some of my upcoming videos, just to inform you guys how it plays. But I think I kind of already see the through line. But again, hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching, for coming by. Sorry, my mind is wandering. I'm excited to be back into our normal Grim Reminder stuff. Just so you guys know, I might try and record a special different deck opening soon. I went to a couple different store championships in the Southeast and had a lot of opportunities. I placed second place in all 3, I believe, of the ones that I've attended so far. I think there's been 3 in the Southeast that I've been able to go to. Haven't been able to go up to the Carolinas or to Florida for any, but it's been awesome. So I will probably have a battle-tested deck for us to take a look at that treatment and kind of see what you guys think. But keep your eyes peeled for that in case that comes, no promises. And then, of course, in 2 weeks, you will see me for our next Grim Reminders video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. Have a good one.